I will call to order the meeting of the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners on this 19th day of May of 2025. If you would, please join me in standing for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, first thing we have on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed? The ayes have it, so the agenda is adopted. Now we'll move to the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Patton. Any discussion? All right, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it, so it is passed. Item number 3, National Treatment Court Month Proclamation. Commissioner Patton.
If you'll indulge me for just a minute before I read this, I want to publicly thank Judge Pomeroy and his team that started the treatment court here in Lincoln County. When I was the Director of Veteran Services, Judge Pomeroy would call me if nonviolent veterans came before him, and he would allow me to get them in the VA and allow the VA to provide services for them. That's easy to do with veterans, not so easy to do with the rest of the population. Those resources aren't easily available like they are for veterans. But he took it upon himself and his team to start treatment court. My wife and I were there this past Friday. If you want to see what positive influences and how people can really change, if you support them, go to treatment court and see what they do. It's easy to put people in jail, but they don't really get rehabilitated because a lot of times they just find better drug dealers in there. Go and see this. It's made a huge difference in these people's lives. Some have already graduated, but I certainly appreciate it, and if you go, you'll understand what a good thing this is. So now for the proclamation. National Treatment Court Month, May 2025. Whereas according to All Rise, treatment courts are the most successful justice system intervention in our nation's history for reducing crime by addressing substance abuse and mental health disorders. And whereas treatment courts save an average of more than $6,000 for every individual they serve. And whereas treatment courts provide a range of economic benefits to a community, such as reduced cost in court and prison expenditures, increased tax revenues, lowered foster care expenses, and decreased costs related to victimization. And whereas treatment courts combine accountability with evidence-based treatment. And whereas treatment courts annually refer more than 150,000 individuals to life-saving treatment and recovery support services. And whereas, according to All Rise, treatment courts significantly improve substance abuse and mental health disorder treatment outcomes and prevent fatal overdoses. And whereas treatment courts facilitate community-wide partnerships, bringing together public safety and public health. And whereas there are now more than 4,000 treatment courts nationwide, and whereas treatment courts demonstrate that when one person rises, we all rise. Therefore, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Lincoln County, North Carolina proclaims the month of May as Treatment Court Month in recognition of the vital role treatment courts play in saving lives, restoring families, and strengthening communities. And I would bring that in the form of a motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Patton. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, ayes have it. So that proclamation is passed. Thank you, Alex. All right, we will move to item number 4. That's National Police Week proclamation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As most of you may know, last week was National Police Week, Mother's Day through the following Saturday. We had 4 deaths in our area from a warrant service, a Lincoln County warrant service. And each year we proclaim National Police Week, May 11th through May the 17th here in Lincoln County with the commissioners. Whereas in 1962, President John F. Kennedy proclaimed May the 15th as National Police Officers Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which May the 15th falls as National Police Week. Currently, tens of thousands of law enforcement officers from around the world converge on Washington, D.C. to participate in a number of planned events which honor those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. And whereas there are more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in the communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office and the Lincolnton Police Department. And whereas since the first recorded law enforcement death in 1786, more than 24,000 officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and have been killed in the line of duty. And whereas the names of those devoted public servants are permanently engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas it is important for all citizens to recognize the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices undertaken by our brave men in law enforcement, those unwavering commitment ensures that our families and communities may thrive in peace. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Lincoln County, North Carolina, hereby proclaim the week, May the 11th through the 17th, as National Police Week in Lincoln County. We publicly salute and express our sincere gratitude to the men and women of law enforcement who make it possible for us to leave our homes and families in safety each day, knowing that they stand ready to protect our loved ones, property, and freedoms, even at the risk of their own lives. This 19th of May, adopted this 19th day of May, 2025.
Okay, do you bring that in form of? You bring that in form of a motion?
And that is my motion, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Cecina. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Thank you.
All right, I guess I'm up next.
Yes, sir, you are up next.
So, I want to take a moment and just let everybody know out there that I do appreciate the people with Public Works, solid waste, maintenance and all that. I know the work they do. I've saw it firsthand. I have saw some of our Public Works guys get covered in some stuff that I would not want to be covered in. And I really do appreciate what they do and do that for us. So let me read this. National Public Works Week Proclamation. Whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Lincoln County, North Carolina. And whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of Public Works professionals, who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, providing, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children of Lincoln County, North Carolina to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2025 marks the 60th Annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association. So be it now resolved that the Lincoln County Board of County Commissioners do hereby designate the week of May 8th through the 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week. Ooh, I agree. I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designated to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. I make that in form of a motion.
Okay, well, so we have a motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. That is passed too. Thank you. So we'll move to item number 6, public hearing for proposed private drive named Hosey Trail. I think Savannah Locklear.
Good evening, Commissioners. How are y'all doing?
Good, and you?
Good. I'm here to present the proposed private road name of Hosey Trail. Pursuant to the Lincoln County Code of Ordinance, all roads, both public and private, shall be named and numbered if 3 or more addressable structures are located and accessed by them. At least 10 days prior to this date, notice of the time, place, and subject matter of the public hearing was prominently posted at the Lincoln County Courthouse and in at least 2 public places where the area of the road are located, and notice of the same was published in a newspaper in general circulation in Lincoln County. I'm recommending that the naming of the private drive located off of North NC 10 Highway near Knoll Drive in Northbrook Township, as it meets the requirements of an official road name.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? All right, I will open the public comment for the proposed private road name, Hosey Trail. And seeing no one signed up to speak on this matter, I'll close the public comment. So now I'll entertain a motion to adopt an ordinance officially naming the existing private drive of Hosey Trail.
So moved, sir.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Cecina. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All right, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
So we will move on to planning board recommendations. Jeremiah.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
2 weeks ago, on May the 5th, we held public hearings for 5 different cases, rezoning cases. 4 rezoning cases and 1 UDO amendment. Following those public hearings, the Planning Board deliberated and voted on their recommendations on each of these cases that I'll be presenting to you tonight. So the first is zoning map amendment number 748. Dustin Hips was the applicant. This was a request to rezone a 6.4 acre parcel from residential single family to transitional residential. The property is located at 364 Luther Drive in Ironton Township. The planning board voted 5-0 to recommend approval of this request, and you have their adopted statement in your packet.
Okay. We have any questions for Jeremiah?
No, sir, but I do recommend that we put this off until the second meeting in June, because I think there's some more discussion that needs to be had about this.
Okay. So we have a motion by Commissioner Cecina to table this item until the second meeting in June. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. So that one has been tabled to the second meeting in June.
I forgot to ask if there was a
The second case is zoning map amendment number 749. Joshua Lee Schultz was the applicant in this case, and this was a request to rezone a 2-acre parcel located just east of Randleman Road in the Ironton Township from residential single-family to transitional residential. The planning board voted 5-0 to recommend approval of this request, and you have their adopted statement in your packet.
Okay, I'm gonna back up real quick. On the last case, ZMA 748, it was a 4-1 vote. Commissioner Carpenter was opposed to the tabling.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. So now we're at Joshua Lee Schultz.
Yes.
Sorry?
Yes.
Okay. So does anyone have any questions for Jeremiah in regards to this case? So I'll entertain a motion to adopt the statement of consistency and reasonableness as presented by the planning board.
So moved.
We have a motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that one passes. And now I entertain a motion to approve ZMA 749 Joshua Lee Schultz, applicant for the recommended planning board.
So moved.
All right, Commissioner Carpenter has made the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So it passes unanimous.
The next case, zoning map amendment number 750. Sain and Hevner Trucking Company Incorporated was the applicant in this case. This was a request to rezone 2 parcels totaling 5.81 acres from residential suburban to industrial general. The planning board voted 5-0 to recommend approval of this request, and you have their adopted statement in your packet.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Jeremiah? So I'll entertain a motion to adopt the statement of consistency and reasonable as presented by the planning board.
Make a motion to adopt a statement of consistency and reasonableness as presented.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Mullen. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that passes unanimous. And I will entertain a motion to approve ZMA 750.
I'll make a motion to approve ZMA 750.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Mullen. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. That one passes as well. Okay, so we'll go to UDO Amendment 2025-2.
Yes, Shallon Brooks was the applicant in this case, and she was requesting to amend Section 3.9.7 of the Lincoln County Unified Development Ordinance to permit windblown signage. Currently, the UDO does not permit any form of windblown signage as an advertising device. The proposed amendment to the text would add specifically feather-style flags as an option for a temporary sign, and that would be 1 per parcel or 1 per business. So in the case of a multi-tenant complex, each building in that shopping center, or each tenant in that shopping center could have 1 temporary sign, and should they choose to use a feather flag, that would count as their 1 temporary sign instead of more traditional forms such as sandwich board signs, the corrugated plastic on H-frames, typically referred to as yard signs or floppy signs. So that's her proposed amendment, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have for me with regards to technicalities with the ordinance language. The planning board voted 5-0 to recommend approval of this request, and you have their adopted statement in your packet.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Jeremiah?
Yes, Jeremiah, can you tell us what temporary means when we say temporary sign? How long is that? Is it 30 days? Is it 5 days? Is it?
So it's a little bit of a misnomer. So the term temporary here within this context is differentiating between the permanent sign that's permanently affixed to the ground, usually cemented into the ground or bolted onto a base. versus a temporary sign, meaning that it's not intended to be there long-term. It's more of the nature of the sign itself, not how long it's there. So there's no definitive time frame associated with it under the current standards or under these proposed standards.
So in theory, a person could put their sign out once and leave it up till it disintegrates.
Correct. Until it no longer meets the ordinance standards, and we have ordinance language about deteriorated signs that requires them to be brought back up to the standards or removed. Yes.
Okay. Anyone else have anything? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Just a written statement that I'd like to propose. The proposal to allow windblown signage as a form of temporary signage is a practical request for small businesses and business owners to seek. And when Ms. Brooks spoke in the public comments several months ago regarding her issues with windblown signs being prohibited by local ordinances, the board as a whole took notice. Her particular situation, as well as many similar situations throughout the county where small business owners are competing to be noticed and grow their businesses, is a common refrain. The Board of Commissioners wishes to support small businesses and wishes to seek ways in which to do that in a collaborative fashion. However, recent changes by the North Carolina General Assembly to the local planning and development regulation statutes, particularly General Statute 160D-601D, prevents local governments from initiating downzoning without written consent of affected property owners. The change not only impacts zoning map amendments, but also how the board will review and consider text changes such as UDO 2025-2 for windblown signage and other future text amendment proposals. While the board is within the power to adopt such a change to the UDO, the recent statutory change also prevents the local government from reverting to previous zoning standards. If after passing an amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance, a fault is realized with the proposal, or there is an unattended outcome for the decision. Due to the current state of the development regulation statutes, the board is here hesitant to approve this amendment. Therefore, I move the following. The proposed amendment is inconsistent with the Lincoln County Land Use Plan and other adopted plans that the North Carolina 16 Corridor Vision Plan Analysis and Recommendations section acknowledges the following. Along the corridor, there are still a number of signs which are larger than permitted today, and a number of businesses have numerous signs on the site. The overabundance of signage effectively clutters the corridor and makes it difficult in some places to read the signs because they compete with each other to be seen, making each ineffective for business to display useful information. The overuse of temporary signs leads to clutter and litter problems along the corridor, as many companies do pick up outdated signs once placed, and therefore my motion is to deny.
So to make sure we're all clear, you have an alternate statement of consistency and reasonableness?
I think that was it.
Okay, so you're good with that. So everybody understand the motion by Commissioner Cecina, that he has an alternate statement and what that alternate statement is? Okay, so Commissioner Cecina has made the motion. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. So I'll now entertain a motion to disapprove UDO 2025-2.
Move that we disapprove that UDO amendment, sir.
Okay, so the motion by Commissioner Cecina to disapprove. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
So that is disapproved. Thank you, Jeremiah.
All right, and the last of the cases from this month, and then we have one from last month. But first, we have conditional zoning 2025-1. The applicant in this case was requesting the rezoning of a 3.35 acre portion of a parcel located at the intersection of Southside Road and Gastonia Highway from residential suburban to conditional zoning general business for a retail store. As with any conditional rezoning, that is based on a site-specific vesting plan that the applicant prepared and submitted as part of their application. And so if approved, that would become the zoning district, and any major changes to that plan would have to come back to the board. So the planning board voted 5-0 to recommend denial of this request. You have their proposed statement in your packet. or their adopted statement in your packet. I apologize.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Jeremiah? Okay, I will entertain a motion to adopt the statement of consistency and reasonableness as presented by the planning board.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have that one. So now I'll entertain a motion to deny CZ 2025-1.
I make a motion that we deny CZ 25-1.
All right, so we have a motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. So that case is denied.
All right, now last item I have for you this evening is the public hearing was held last month for Watershed Special Use Permit number 40. Carolina Elite Builders LLC was the applicant in that case. And following the closure of the public hearing on April 7th, the Board of Commissioners voted to postpone a final decision until this evening. You may recall this was a request to exceed the low-density option for impervious coverage on a site located on at 1499 Midtown Drive. They were seeking approval of a 1070 option permit under the special non-residential intensity allocation. So you have the applicant's proposed findings that were presented last month, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have for me.
Anyone have any questions for Jeremiah? So I'll entertain a motion to approve the findings of fact as submitted by the applicant.
I make a motion.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Carpenter to approve the findings of facts. All right, any discussion? All right, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, and now I'll entertain a motion to approve WSSUP 40 Carolina Elite Builders LLC applicant based on the findings of fact.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any discussion? All right, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed? The ayes have it. This passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
All right. Item number 8, Sheriff Beam.
We sent you a lot of information. If anybody's got any questions about that, it's about our firearms that we carry. These were purchased originally in 2007. In the history of the Sheriff's Office, 1994 was the first departmental buy we ever had. That was a 45 6-hour P220. And then in 2007, Sheriff Daughtry moved us over to the Glock 45 caliber. We understand from the factory that there is a time stamp on 45s being discontinued completely. We're probably one of the few agencies right now that still currently carry the 45. The advantageous part of the change for me and changing over to the 9 is 2 reasons. The ammunition is half the price, and the other one is the new sighting system, which is basically a red dot type sighting system is built into these firearms at the manufacturer. And that is a very technical improvement that improves shooters' efforts very dramatically. And I think it would be an asset to the agency. And of course, we have SROs now that are not allowed their long guns in the school buildings, and this would make their handguns even more accurate, I guess is the best description. Anybody have any questions? From the information that you've seen, we've tried to give you a lot of information, but if you have any numbers and so forth, I've got an excellent staff here that can explain a lot of these things a lot better than I can.
Just out of curiosity, you mentioned the savings for ammunition stuff. What's that cost savings?
It'll around $10 a box. It's just about half.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions for the sheriff?
We have a lot of 45 ammunition on hand. We'll be able to trade that in and switch ammunition for ammunition. In other words, we'll get 2 boxes instead of 1, so it'll be with whatever the going rate is. They promised to do that for us. Also, all the law enforcement officers that work for us now will be able to buy the firearm that they're currently carrying through the firearms dealer. They'll pay a fee, an additional fee from whatever they're going to pay the county for that weapon. And so they'll be able to purchase those. And these will remain in firearms. They've guaranteed us, is that correct, John? They'll go back to Tennessee. The firearms that the 45s that we trade in will be going to Tennessee and be sold as as law enforcement firearms. So they won't be going out into the general public.
Okay. Anyone have anything for Sheriff or any other questions?
I'd just like to say I appreciate the forward-looking, forward-thinking about the ammunition as we move down the road. It's a long-term effect for the county as well as an outstanding firearm for the deputies to be using around the country. That red dot sight's been proven to be very effective and increased range scores by 10-15%. Thank you, Sheriff, and thank you, John, and thank you, Daniel.
Okay, if we have no other questions, then I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So moved, sir.
We have a motion by Commissioner Chesina. Any discussion? All right. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you all very much. As always, the wonderful things that you do for law enforcement and able to keep us current in a county that grows faster than the grass outside.
When do you think you'll have this turnover?
Do what, sir?
When do you think this will be turned over fully?
Well, the turnaround for Glock is 120 days.
Okay.
So by the time we rotate out ammo and we got a lot of logistics to get through, but
A lot of training.
yeah, training with the new sites and stuff. So
All right. Appreciate it, guys.
thank you.
Okay, Andrew.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. First item to bring before you tonight from Development Services is a consideration of an extension and expansion in scope of the Raftellus' rate study. They started with that rate study focusing on public utilities about this time last year to help us move through our system development fee conversation. Through the commissioner workshops in the spring, there's a lot of focus on solid waste and fee structures moving forward. It was identified that Raftellus could also provide that same level of service with a different scope here. This scope that they are looking at for solid waste would include long-term revenue projections as well as expense projections, alignment with our capital improvement program. They would look at what our rate design is based off with our availability fees now and our tipping fees, look at the sufficiency of that and analyze other possible options for the county for a long-term funding model. And they would also provide a supplemental post-closure analysis. Post-closure analysis is essentially what it would be to essentially close up the landfill, deactivate that site, and maintain that from a monitoring standpoint for decades to come. We already do that at our Owl's Den landfill. But we do that now, but this would look at all the new metrics and look at post-closure, what it would look like with those metrics as well. Have a very involved process, just as we did with with public utilities, where we went in, analyzed current financials, and with the finance department as well as solid waste staff. And during this kind of same course of action with this proposal from Raftellus, solid waste, county attorney, and this board would also have the opportunity to review our solid waste policies and our ordinance to make sure that they aligned, were simple to move through and interpret, and like I said, align with these new proposals. Does anybody have any questions on this scope expansion for Raftellus?
So just to clarify, they are gonna, excuse me, they are gonna look at the entire structure and
Yes.
make any modifications needed.
Everything. I only gave you a few highlights, but I mean, it literally reads as everything. We're going to pick it all apart, compare it to everybody around us, look farther away, see what we can do. So this will be a deep dive in it, but we do expect to be able to finish up by the end of this calendar year on this work. So as we move into budget workshops in the winter and spring, we'll have all the information available for us there to work together to find a solution for long-term financial sustainability for this fund.
Thank you. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the rate study scope expansion as presented.
I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Mullen. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. The ayes have it. All right, we've got Mike, odor control sole source approval.
Chairman Lineberger, members of the board, first I want to say thanks for the Public Works proclamation. We're a group of people that usually work behind the scenes, and we're often only noticed when something goes wrong. But I got the privilege to work with some of the great employees. Speaking of things go wrong, we've been having trouble with our odor control, so we're wanting to go a new route. So today I'm seeking your approval to sole source purchase of odor control system, $162,900. These will replace the odor control at 5 stations that we normally have our biggest complaints at. These are highly effective multi-stage systems that are designed to treat high levels of hydrogen sulfide. They use recycled glass, and it's sprayed with water and a nutrient mixture that promotes biological growth that eats the hydrogen sulfide. Then on top of it, it's got like a carbon filter that scrubs off any additional odor. If y'all have any questions.
I do real quick. Was this going to fix Burton Lane?
This is hopefully going to fix Burton Lane.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Hopefully. This is a state-of-the-art system that's supposed to work really well.
Thank you for getting that done. I greatly appreciate it. Let's see, where's the other one? Burton.
Lift Station 12 out in front of Melwood.
Yeah,
Another one.
Melwood and down at Triangle.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
All right, we've got a motion by Commissioner Cecina. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Passes. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, Andrew, you back up. Material Management Agreement Change Order Number 1.
Yes, sir. So Synagro provides our land application services for our wastewater treatment plant as we process sludge and have to remove it off-site. Recently, a batch of sludge tested high heavy metal concentrations at that site and was unsuitable for land application onto agricultural fields. So we've had to pivot and look to have Synagro deal with that in other ways. What they are doing now, they are bringing in their sludge presses, dewatering that biologic material coming off that site, and they will be transporting it to Lincoln County landfill, Gaston County landfill, and if necessary, BFI landfill at the Speedway. This is a pivot from our normal process, and we had to move quickly on this to start moving this sludge off-site. We've already executed a contract less than $50,000 to get them started because we were running out of space in our basins. This is a change order to go from $45,000 and adding $115,000 in additional funding to remove all that highly concentrated heavy metal sludge out of the site and get it taken to the landfills. So an unfortunate situation, but it's something it can't stay. So just looking for this approval. And if we would go, for some reason, go over $160,000, we would be back before y'all for additional approvals.
Anyone have any questions for Andrew? How often does this happen?
This is the first time this has ever happened to us at Killian Creek.
Okay.
We're still looking at a root cause investigation. We want this to be the last time this ever happens to us. This was an unforeseen thing at the end of a budget year that we don't like to have to bring before you, but we are digging into what caused this and making sure it does not happen again.
Okay. All right, so go ahead.
Will this be out of the enterprise fund or?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
All right, Commissioner Carpenter has the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Passes. Thank you, Andrew. All right, So we're on to number 12, public hearing, resolution to dissolve airport authority. Ms. Gilbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, before us tonight, we have a resolution to dissolve the airport authority effective June 30th of 2025. We received the authority to do this in 2024-1 session law. This airport authority was created in 1996 by session law, was amended 4 times. And now this board and county management believe that it is in the best interest of the county to bring the airport in as a enterprise fund of the county. So this will work to dissolve the authority effective on June 30th, and then the resolution also calls for the creation of a new department in the county, the airport, and a new enterprise fund. So everything that is currently at the airport will immediately come to the county. We have been working on this for a very long time, and the FAA finally approved and provided us written documentation showing that the county is now the sole sponsor. So the city is officially out of the airport completely. This resolution also changes the official name of the airport effective June 30th, 2025 to the Lincoln County Regional Airport instead of the Lincoln County Regional Airport. So to allow the public to speak, I believe this board wanted to do a public hearing, so this was published in the paper. Are there any questions about this resolution?
Does anyone have any questions? Ms. Gilbert? So I guess at this time, I will open the public hearing for the resolution to dissolve the airport authority. We had no one signed up to speak. So with no speakers, then I will declare the public hearing closed, and I will entertain a motion to adopt the resolution to dissolve the airport authority.
So moved.
All right, we've got the motion by Commissioner Patton. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it, it passes. All right, so we'll move on to number 13, joint resolution regarding Lake Norman territorial jurisdiction. Ms. Gilbert.
So before us is a new joint resolution regarding the Lake Norman territorial jurisdiction in regards to law enforcement jurisdiction on and within the bounds of Lake Norman. This is a restatement of a resolution that was passed in 2015 by Iredell, Catawba, Lincoln, and Mecklenburg counties establishing joint jurisdiction within the waters. So basically what this means is any law enforcement agency who has jurisdiction in any portion of Lake Norman or its shorelines has joint jurisdiction across the lake. So there are no county lines for law enforcement jurisdiction within the bounds of Lake Norman. When Lincoln County made the decision to withdraw from the Lake Norman Marine Commission, the counties believed that it would be good for the public to be reassured that law enforcement will not change. So I worked with the other 3 counties, and we drafted this joint resolution that basically restates everything that was in the original. Catawba County is adopting this resolution tonight. Mecklenburg and Iredell will be adopting it tomorrow night. So I just ask for your approval. Any questions?
All right, nobody have any questions? Then I will entertain a motion to adopt as presented.
So moves. I'm sorry, go ahead, Trent.
Oh, so moved.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Carpenter. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will indicate, all right, if you're in favor, indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it, that passes. All righty, so we'll go to the presentation of the fiscal year 26 budget and fee schedule. Mr. Madden, I think he went around the corner to do his presentation.
I think y'all intentionally made this thing so high. I always make the short joke when I get up here because of how high this thing is. I'll try to speak into this. and project, but I want to say good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Tonight, I present the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget. But before I just start the slideshow, I would just like to first thank the finance team, the budget team, human resources, and all of the departments that work with us through the years, and also like to thank you all for the workshops that we go through. Each year, it's a pretty rigorous process. I think this year we had 4 different workshop sessions that went through the budget. That was one additional than we had the previous year because you all had additional questions that we had to have time to get back and answer. And the departments always put in a great effort. I mean, I think they try to do their best to be frugal in how they propose their budgets. And I know Commissioner Mullen sat in on those work sessions, so he was able to get a firsthand experience as a new commissioner, what all goes into it. So without further ado, I'd like to get into the budget presentation. So here's our agenda discussion. I'm not, obviously, as Commissioner Cicina always says, not read slide for slide, and so does Lineberger. But the fiscal year 26 budget consideration, so we've got to be balanced. We know what our tax rate is, and we know that each year we continue to see additional growth in new structures in the county that increases our ad valorem taxes. And you see here, based on those collection of property taxes, along with VTS, what you see 1 cent at a 99% collection rate is equivalent to. Here's our general fund budget that I'm recommending through our workshops and our sessions with the budget team. On the left-hand side, you see our expenditures by function. On the right-hand side, you see our revenues by function. As you see, the proposed budget for fiscal year 26 is $167,860,267. Generally speaking, our functions stay roughly about the same percentages. They shift up and down a little bit each year based on the overall budget, but you can see that public safety is always our largest slice, and that includes more than just the sheriff's office. That also includes our inspections, that includes animal services and other departments that go into our public safety. That's always something the public asks because sometimes they just assume it is the law enforcement department. It's not, it's multiple departments. As you can see, based on our growth, you see where ad valorem have went up, as well as our local option sales tax. Here's the infamous pie chart that starts with our expenditures based on how it's broken down. This is actually now subdivides some of those categories outside the function. So you actually see that earlier public safety here was at 31.2%, and then you look here at the sheriff office, the school resource officers, and detention is equivalent to about 20% of the overall budget. So you see that other 10% makes up other departments in there. You see what the only thing that really is not directly under the county is the school system, and you see there it's about 27% of our overall budget, and that includes their current expense operating, their capital, and their debt service. Our projected revenues, as we know, are the biggest slice of the pie is our property taxes, followed by sales tax. That makes up about $138 million of our total budget, and then the rest is built on federal funds, state funds, sales and service goods, some intergovernmental transfers, miscellaneous, and so on. This year we have no fund balance appropriated, so it's at 0%. We're at a balanced budget. That's what we're required to do, and present to you a balanced budget. Our capital reserve fund, this is where we put money aside for specific and specified projects. You know this from the workshop. We have a policy. We put aside 1.7 cent into our capital reserve. You see what those projections are. You can see at the bottom for the designated use of the funds. Right now we have our new animal service facility coming online. We always put money in for industrial development for economic side of the county, replacement for the turf fields and so on. And right now our approximate at the end of 26, this is always an estimation, is about 32.4 million. New position request. We had about 43 requested positions this year. This goes through me and the finance team when we look at recommendations. what we approve goes before you in one of the workshops. Right now, we're recommending approval of 11 positions. You see what they are. You see their, what departments they're in, as well as what the salaries are for these positions. The original request for new positions was about $1.9 million, and right now the recommended from the county manager is about $391,000 for these. And some of these positions are going to come on very late in the year, and as you can see on there, the library, I've talked with Jennifer about that. She's here. We're going to have to play a little bit with that because, you know, again, we never know what the schedule looks like, whether it's weather events or something that may create a delay. So we get the approval to make sure we bring on those staff as early as we can, but late in the year when we need them based on the project. That way they get training so they don't just walk into a new library without having the training involved. So we're going to play a little bit with this schedule, but right now that's what our projections are for when to bring them on. The manager a little earlier than the assistants. And then she has obviously a lot more positions that she'd like to add to the overall same family library. The emergency planner, I want you to see that. That is not in that cost. That is the one, if you remember the workshop, we said we were putting it on hold for right now. We're still looking at some organizational changes over there. Until we actually get a good grasp on what we want to do with the department, we brought on a new emergency services director. We've just consolidated 911 under that. We're going to look at that again a little bit later on in the year. That may be something that I could bring back to you. So I kind of give you an advice now that it could be a mid-year, hey, we do need this position. But for right now, I think we're looking at our alternatives to see what we can do. Here's our reclassification request. We had a reclass, original request was about $55,000, and we're recommending the approval of 9 positions to be reclassed at $36,000. And one of them is really just simply a position reclassification. That's the environmental health position. There's no dollar to the county, and a lot of these are pretty small increment for these positions. Some of these have been discussed in years previous, and we've asked them to hold off until we felt that the need was more appropriate, and these are some of the ones have been moved up in this year because of that request. This is our enterprise funds right now. We have 2 reclassifications for solid waste. One of them is a name change only to establish appropriately the title of the position. The other is a slight increase because they're going to serve kind of as a secondary management and work more in a succession plan. We're going to move into our enterprise budgets. Here's the projected water and sewer fund. This is Fund 61. As you can see from last year in 25, we had a budget of about $22.2 million. This year they've requested $21.2, and we're recommending a $21.1 budget to operate the sewer, which is our water and sewer fund, public utilities. Here's our solid waste fund, Fund 66. Original request was $7.4 million. We're recommending a $6.6. As you all know, some of this is tied back to looking at those fees and maintaining I like to call a solvent enterprise so that it supports itself as it's intended to. The board worked long on some of these. Y'all had a lot of good discussion in the workshop, so this is our recommendation. Here's our new enterprise fund. It's not quite there yet, but will be hopefully July 1. This is the airport fund. This is Fund 67. This is the Lincoln County Regional Airport. As you can see, there were no prior budgets, but for this year, they've requested $1.2 million, and this is what we're recommending. And this is obviously there's going to have to be a little fluidity with this one because this will be our first time taking on this enterprise. We know there's a learning curve. We are in consultation with a consulting group that once we get just a few more weeks into this absorption of the airport, we'll bring that consulting group in, and they'll help us look at our business model, and we have the manager position currently posted. Special appropriations. This is everything that's outside of our general operations. This is something, again, we pretty much have a half a day workshop that goes through this and all the outside agencies that request funding. The original request for 26 was $3.6 million. We're making a recommendation of $2.9 million. Y'all recall a lot of these different departments, quite a few. And this is something the board had a consensus on in our next to last workshop. The school system. Thankfully, we are working with this MOU for a funding model. I'm very excited about that. I appreciate the board's willingness to help establish this funding model. You see up here We have an MOU that's been back and forth between the county attorney and the school attorney, just for some minor revisions. I think we have it narrowed down now to just some minor language sheets, but it's exactly what we originally proposed based on our new growth and unrestricted. So we should have that coming before you soon. Now, the second thing is to look at the new debt. This is based on the two phases of the school expansions. The first phase includes St. James, Catawba Springs, and Rock Springs. And this right now, this $10.6 million is what we have is a total project cost based on their estimates they've been provided to us. And this is what we're working with Davenport, our finance group now, to look at the limited obligation bond. Get rid of this. Some more of this will be coming before you soon. And the other two, Catawba Springs and Rock Springs expansions, these are design build estimates. So right now we're going to leave it about $33.4 million. That could change a little bit based on what the actual project's costs come in once they actually put those two together. The first one is going out separately. And then now we've asked the school to consolidate, hopefully, Catawba Springs and Rock Springs into one debt. So really only have two debts for phase one. We really wanted it as one debt, but because of the time frame of getting all the schools expanded, it worked better in the school's favor to try to start with one debt, and then we'll try to take out debt on Catawba Springs and Rock Springs as a unified expansion. So our fund balance, this is always the public question. Where are we? What do we look like? Keep in mind, this is 2024 actual. We won't have 2025 till later on this year. But right now we have restricted and unrestricted, or assigned and unassigned. And the main thing here is, and the unassigned fund balance is about 35.9. Some of that has been allocated currently, so we'll see what the updated number is, like I say, once we have a more actual number. But most of this is in the restricted, and the assigned is going into projects that we have set aside, multiple projects that the commissioners have talked about, everything from parks to our training facilities and so on. I want to say one thing. I know it's always a debate about our fund balance, and we get obviously a lot of comments, and they're justifiable, but it's going into the future here. A healthy fund balance is very important for, again, I'm just going to say it, for our debt service, the percents that we gain, as well as emergency needs. And we seem to run into those more often than we like. But just say that for the county's perspective. Debt service. Here's our general fund debt. I know this is a pretty busy slide, but just really look at what's going over the next 5 years. You see this is current debt that we have, and between fiscal year 2030, assuming we don't take on any new debt, which we probably will, but right now we don't have it on there, we're going to have roughly about a $7.3 million debt payment, and roughly we'll see start at this current budget year coming up, we'll have about 8.9. It'll shift down as we pay that debt down. This is general fund debt. School debt service. This is currently what the school is. As you know, we'll be taking on the new debt once we get the bonds set up for the $10.6 million. And then additionally, we'll have the other debt taken on for Catawba and Rock Springs. But we've paid down a lot of that debt. And one thing the commissioners did, I think 2 years ago, was you opted to take the difference in the debt service and roll it into the reserve fund to go against these expansions. So we've done that as well. It's not a tremendous amount of money. It's only been a cycle through a year. This is to bring forth to you the fire district tax request. Three districts asked for an increase. That was Denver, East Lincoln, and Pumpkin Center. You can see those on there. Everybody else opted to remain the same. And you can see what the estimated value of property is for those areas. This is relevant to see, and you know this is basically because we have very rural district areas where they have a higher rate, but they're also getting those taxes off of much smaller amount of estimated value in that area, which drives the operations of those districts. Moving into the tax rate, we're obviously asking for no change in the tax rate this year, no increase as directed by the board in your goals for fiscal year 25 and now 26. This just gives you this is coming straight off the most current source of the North Carolina Department of Revenue website. This is based off current county tax rates. And of course, this line is just a municipality numbers. You know why I like to include this, because I think it puts a lot of things in perspective for Lincoln County. We're fairly unique in that we have that one municipality. And the benefit of that, I mean, the factor of the municipalities is they take a lot of load off the county proper because they cover a lot of services that here in Lincoln County we cover. So kind of look at us like two municipalities. We have the city of Lincoln, and then the county is its own entity that covers everything else outside the city. And plus, we also cover services for the city, as y'all know. We've recently had some conversations about that. But even with that said, we're still in the lower quartile of tax rate. We're proud of that. It's obviously an attraction to people that want to move here, want to raise families here, want to attend school here, buy houses here. So here it is, the 2026 budget proposed to you through the general fund at $167.8 million. This is what I'm recommending for fiscal year 26. So I'd like to say thank you again to the board. Couldn't help it but put this back in there again. I was proud of this. We was proud of this sword. I mean, this is Benjamin Lincoln's sword. I mean, come on. We were excited to see this. So thank you very much, and I'm open for questions. I have the finance team and the budget team here if you have any questions that I can address.
Does any commissioner have any questions?
Been asked and answered.
We're good, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
So now we'll move into the public comment section of the agenda. This is where we allow citizens to address the board concerning any matter. Let me remind you, if you'll give us your name and address for the record, then we'll also allow you 3 minutes to speak as an individual and 5 minutes to speak as a group. If you're speaking for a group, then the group will need to be identified to be given the 5 minutes. So first on the list, we have Terry Rand.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Commissioners. My name is Terry Rand, and I am here to represent the American Federation of Aviculture. At your last meeting, our president, Buddy Waske, was here, and he asked me to come. I live in Hickory, North Carolina, and I'm currently the southeastern person election. It hasn't been official yet, but I take this situation very, very seriously. Personally, I have had pet parrots for over 45 years and have learned through AFA, which is the American Federation of Aviculture, how important it is to properly take care of exotic parrots. We focused on that, and we understand the importance, but we also understand the importance of ownership. And we are constantly educating the pet owner, the breeder, and any information we can offer to help a parrot become a better parrot. I want to mention that AFA is a nonprofit organization. We have been recognized for 51 years, and we are consistently helping parrots. When Helene came through, AFA sent over 600 pounds of bird food that were distributed to animals, parrots that needed assistance with food. I think that is just a small example of what we do when we give back. We are also very involved with staying informed about legislation that will affect parrot owners and breeders. And that's the main reason I'm standing here tonight. And I want to offer that I would be willing to serve on a board of discussion, or the president of our organization would be more than willing to come from Richmond and do that. Again, our organization monitors and assesses local, state, and national ordinances. and specifically legislation that may challenge people's abilities to keep, raise, and provide better situations for parrots, citizens, and of course, other exotics. That's what I'm here for. Thank you for your time. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you. Next on the list is Hannah Hauser.
Hannah Hauser, 191 Planters Row Road, Iron Station, North Carolina. Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
I want to start by saying something I think everyone in this room can agree with. We all want the best possible ordinance, one that protects public safety, respects constitutional rights, and ensures animal welfare for years to come. But let me be clear. What you tabled last meeting does not meet that standard. Ultimately, it doesn't matter if the issue with the draft was a missing and or, if it's a conscious power grab, or if it's a well-intentioned but misguided attempt at improving animal welfare, even when the result is actually antithetical to no-kill philosophy. What does matter is this. There is widespread confusion about the intent. The language was ambiguous, the content was unconstitutional, and dangerous. It was riddled with inconsistencies. It wasn't created for our community here in Lincoln County, and the entire proposal lacked a transparent and public process. If this board wants to move forward in a way that earns public confidence, I urge you, slow down the process and take time to do it right. To be successful, you must require transparency from animal services. Have animal control come before you and the public. Let them speak to the challenges they're facing. Let them explain the rationale for the proposed changes, describe their enforcement needs, and present statistics and data. I'm surprised to not see them here tonight when you are setting up a committee for the ordinance. The public needs to hear from them to understand the what and the why, and to have a say in the how. I also want to address that introduction of the Animal Ordinance Committee tonight. If this committee is to be effective, it must not continue in the echo chamber of the same hand-picked individuals who make up the current advisory board. Instead, I urge you to create a public application process, even for just a couple of positions. Make it open, let citizens from a broad cross-section of our community, and not just insiders, have a seat at the table. That's how you build legitimacy and trust. It must be inclusive. It must be driven by facts, guided by constitutional principles, and it must prioritize both people and animals. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Sydney Wolf.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Sydney Wolf. My address is 6572 North Carolina 150, Maiden 28650. I am the current Vice President of the Fancy Mouse Breeders Association and the Rare and Exotic Rodent Keepers Association.
Talking to the microphone there.
Start again.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I am the current Vice President of the Fancy Mouse Breeders Association and the Rare and Exotic Rodent Keepers Association. I'm here today to speak on the creation of the Animal Ordinance Committee. So far in my dealings with Lincoln County officials and animal services, I have seen not one iota of knowledge regarding exotic animals or the laws already in place that govern their keeping. I urge you to appoint true experts to this committee, not just yes men who will make your life and job easy. To truly cover the scope of this ordinance, you'll need a panel of experts, including but not limited to an avian expert, a primate expert, an exotic mammals expert, a reptile and venomous snake expert, as well as an attorney with extensive animal litigation expertise, not to mention an exotics veterinarian who is well-versed in this issue. Now, I do have a list of a range of experts to choose from to help you craft a common-sense ordinance with both personal freedom and the best interest of animals in mind. However, due to the disrespectful ways in which Animal Services has treated Lincoln County exotic owners, I highly doubt that any of you will accept our help, but the offer will still stand. Now, to the county commissioners, because Animal Services isn't here, we expected to see them, your constituents have repeatedly shown up to make our voices heard and say no to this ordinance. There was nothing wrong with our previous ordinance regarding exotics. Now, I know many of you are Republicans. You are supposed to stand for small government and personal freedom. If you're willing to strip us of this personal freedom to keep in a humane and ethical manner the animals we see fit, how can we trust you to protect our property rights? Look at everybody coming in from Charlotte, overbuilding Lincoln County as it is. Don't roll over like a scared dog when animal rights extremists come to take our freedoms. You relied on Animal Services to spoon feed you an ordinance to make your life easy, and frankly, you were spoon-fed shit. However, that doesn't mean that you should still support it. And come next election, we will remember how you handled this, and if you supported the personal freedoms of your constituents and the welfare of these exotic animals. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Brittany Fell.
Brittany Fell, 4379 John Ritchie Road, Iron Station, North Carolina. I'm here for me and my neighbors as a group.
Where's the group at?
They couldn't make it today.
You get 3 minutes.
At the last meeting, we were told that this ban aligns Lincoln County with other counties across North Carolina. That claim is simply false. After reviewing nearly every county in the state, I found that only 32 counties have a complete ban. Even if every other county had enacted a ban, Lincoln County is not every other county. Why are copy and pasting policies instead of crafting solutions that reflect the needs and values of our community? At the Animal Advisory Board meeting, I spoke openly and respectfully along with 7 others. 2 couples, an individual male, a single female, a 70-year-old woman, and a 4-year-old child. We were calmly gathered around a table having a conversation. Despite this, someone called the police and labeled us chaotic. That's not only unfair, it's offensive. We came in peace and were met with intimidation. This is not a game. This is our livelihood, our future, my daughter's future. I invite every one of you to visit the King's Ranch, a meaningful and beautiful space born from 2 private owners who had a dream. We built something for our community, young and old, to enjoy, to learn from, and to find hope in. That dream would have never been possible under the restrictions you are now considering. I also sincerely hope that the committee being formed tonight will include people capable of thinking for themselves, not just repeating what others say. Our community deserves real leadership, not puppetry. Please take a step back and look at the bigger picture. This is not just about regulation, it's about community, opportunity, and common sense. I could speak until I'm blue in the face, and it still feels like our concerns are falling on deaf ears. Many of us in the community have reached out, not to argue, but to offer our time and ideas. We've volunteered to meet, to listen, and to help craft a plan that protects public safety and respects the rights and freedoms we're all entitled to. But despite these efforts, no one responds. No one meets with us. We're greeted with silence or worse, with blank, uncaring stares. It's disheartening and demoralizing. This situation is far outside of my comfort zone. I never sought to be involved in politics or public disputes. I simply want to live peacefully in my corner of the world. But now I find myself having to beg for liberties that I never did anything to deserve losing. I'm asking sincerely that you listen to us, that you talk to us, that you engage in a real conversation with the people you're supposed to represent. We are not the enemy. We are your neighbors and fellow members of this community. Our voices matter. Please show us that you're listening and that you care. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Brittany Chamberlain.
I'm Brittany Chamberlain, and as a physician in the local community in the interest of professional boundaries, I would like to not disclose my address publicly, but I'm happy to disclose it as needed. So good evening. My name is Dr. Brittany Chamberlain, and I'm here as a parent tonight, as an author of children's books, as an animal lover, and a supporter of responsible exotic animal ownership. Although we don't personally own any exotic animals, my children have gained so much from their experiences with these animals. Hands-on, learning about biology, ecosystems, empathy, the importance of caring for living creatures. These animals ignite curiosity. They inspire the future veterinarians, conservationists, and scientists that you've all seen come before you. I also personally volunteered at an exotic animal ranch, and I can confidently attest that the animals are deeply loved. They're cared for appropriately. And being part of their care has even been therapeutic for me. It's been meaningful, grounding, healing, seeing them excited to see me every time I come. So supporting responsible ownership not only benefits families like mine, but also creates educational opportunities, it fosters compassion, it offers and supports local jobs, and I really respectfully urge you all to please consider and recognize the value that these animals bring to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Tanya Barker.
Tanya Barker, 116 Julia Drive, Lincolnton. First, I have a question. Did y'all guys get a copy of that ordinance y'all were looking for last time that Matthew had written? Did y'all get a chance to look at it? We were talking about it, and you said y'all were going to table everything last time because everybody kept referring it to. I have an email that he was sending me last summer asking for my input on it, and I didn't see it, and it sat in my email for 2 days, where it had a $50 fee on it, talking about disaster plan. And then when I got back to him, he said, oh, sorry, it's already gone to legal. But it was just an ordinance. It was not this insane ban. And like I said, even going to the Animal Advisory Board at the end of last year, it was still just an ordinance. It was not this ban, and none of us still know what happened. And like, for years, I've paid the $25. One-time registration for my animal. And then 2021, the new ordinance came, and bam, there was that $250, and nobody can really explain why, because Animal Services was not doing their job. I have had my monkey for 13 years. I have seen animal control in my home twice. The Animal Services Board is supposed to meet quarterly. When they slapped us with that $250 in January, I believe, of 2023, the Animal Services Board had not met since April the 19th of 2021. And that's where we're supposed to be able to go as citizens to take our grievances. And they had not met in almost 2 years at that point. But boy, when I met with Mr. Madden and Commissioner McCall, I guess I lit a fire under some people, because that board suddenly started meeting again. So the officers still aren't doing their jobs. I hadn't seen an officer since last March, hadn't heard from anybody. I think other people have been targeted that have larger amounts of animals pretty regularly, but I haven't. I mean, and I don't care. I don't care if they come to my house. It's just there's so much not being done the way it should be across the board for the 5 of us that are actually legitimately registered in this county again. And like Jana encouraged me to apply to be on that Animal Advisory Board, that they needed an exotic owner, and I did. And then I got rejected, and she couldn't tell me why. I'm like, okay, well, I thought I would have the exotic input. Got turned down. And then like today, I know certain people have gotten called to be on this new board that you guys are talking about establishing. And then like their spouses didn't get called. And when they brought them up, they were like, oh no, if your spouse is going to be part of it, no, we don't want that. We'll have to reconsider. Y'all, this is ridiculous. This is like high school drama. I'm sorry, this is crazy. I know years ago I saw minutes that some of the commissioners used to sit in on some of these meetings and have inputs. I don't know how to fix this, but this is crazy. We just want to keep our animals, keep them safe, and this has turned into just a big dramatic mess. And I don't know how to fix it, but there's got to be a way. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Next, we have Gunny Hull.
County Commissioners, Gunny Hole, 319 North Poplar Street in Lincoln here in North Carolina. I just want you to understand a few things that seem like I haven't bring up things shouldn't have to, but for your knowledge, Yahweh hates crime, and he hates corruption. And I hate when someone is hired or elected and think they are better than the ones that put them there. There are what's called bullies in schools and times outside of the school zone, and we've got problems all across the nation from these bullies and people that's treated misappropriately. But when it comes to a position, it's called a tyrant and tyranny. It's a crime that's called misappropriation of taxpayers' money, and it's called malfeasance and misfeasance. When you spend $15 million for animals, when we got people on the street, we got senior citizens, and we got people that's having a hard time paying taxes and everything else. The Bible talks about taking bribes. I was going to read it to you, but it clearly identifies that that's not proper. It's not right, and it's going to be held accountable. Should be held accountable by the people. And many people in the United States is now being fought and caught in of these briberies, being spending money inappropriately and everything else that's going on. Sometimes I believe that some of y'all I had respect for, but it seems like some of you just turned to be rhinos. I served in the military, and I can speak for many in the military who served for freedom, liberty, and justice for all. Same as we stood to the flag, and that's what we pledge and say, freedom and justice for all. But it does not seem to be what we really endeavor to do. Answers to problems is never to just throw money at it. And that seems like it's all we do here in the county and in the United States, is just sling money. Bigger jails, bigger courthouse, a bigger cat and dog house, and everything else, instead of dealing with the root of the problem and hearing the people of Lincoln County. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Jesse Putnam.
Jesse Putnam, speaking for Viper Farms. There's my group. Jesse Putnam, speaking for Viper Farms. I will not be giving my address because the last time I did it up here, it was posted all over social media. It went to the news outlet in Charlotte. It was in your local paper. If you're worried about safety, the public does not need to know where my animals are. First, I want to thank you for extending to me the opportunity to work with you on this advisory panel. I'm open to this and hopeful that this is a genuine offer and not a ploy to make it seem as though you actually took our opinions into account. Behind me stand some of my friends and family that have supported me and helped me make Viper Farms my dream into a reality. I do not want to disappoint them. Thank you also for postponing the vote on exotic animals. I'm hopeful that you heard your constituents at the last meeting and realized that this proposal of banning exotic animals is not only pointless, but punitive to those who uphold the safety and utmost care for these animals. My first question is, what is the point of the ban? Is it for the safety? If so, where's your data? Who complained? How many have been harmed or killed by any of these exotic animals in Lincoln County? Are you worried about the owner's safety? I repeat, how many owners have been harmed or killed by these animals? Again, I couldn't find any in this county. Is this just in case? If so, it would be the keeper's choice. Now that purpose really doesn't make common sense. Next, are you worried about the animal safety? I 100% guarantee that the people who harm any type of animal I 100% agree that people who harm any type of animal should be held accountable. The people that own these exotic animals are some of the most knowledgeable people about their work. These are the people who care for their animals' well-being as well as take great care in housing, safety proofing, and protocols. These owners spend lots of money to house and feed. If this ordinance is passed, you are taking money from the people who sell supplies, as well as the livelihood of owners who raise and display these animals. If this is passed, you are punishing the law-abiding and making more profit to the ones who are not. More people will go underground and do it anyway. So again, what's the point? Going back to what I said before, these owners are very knowledgeable about their work. These are the people that can teach others about the animals and safety in general. To close, I haven't found any data nor common sense reasoning for this ban. Please enlighten me if I'm wrong. Do not punish the owners and these animals just because. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we have no one else signed up for public comments, so I will close the public comments. George, all right, I'll reopen public comments. George? 3 minutes, sir.
Thank you for that. George Barr, 7837 Live Oaks Drive, Denver, speaking for Elba. And usually up here asking for something. This time I'm up here to thank you for something. One, I know what a heavy lift that budget is. And I sat in 3 of those 4 meetings. I've been budgeting since my own stuff since 1981, and I know what it takes. So thank you for a good lift without a tax increase. The second thing is the forward-looking actions for the lake and especially, but the airport as well as an economic development tool. Thank you for that vision and implementing it. And then lastly, thank you for voting down UDO 2025-2. That's it.
Thank you. All right, so we will close public comment now, and we'll move on to item 16, County Attorney's Report. Ms. Gilbert.
No county manager report tonight? All right. So just a short report for me. I am working now on Parks and Recreation Ordinance. It has been sent to John Davis and also the Sheriff's Office. The Sheriff's Office has reviewed it for enforceability and to make sure it meets some of the issues that they've seen in the park. They are good with it, so I'm going to meet with John Davis, and we'll hopefully get y'all a first draft in rotation to look at. And we are still working on soil and water district ordinances, so I will be meeting with the Environmental Review Board. That will be the next board that will deal with it. It will eventually come to you guys, and also I'm working with David on a master agreement with the city where we are going to incorporate all of our agreements with them into one master agreement to hopefully make it easier to keep up with in the future. So that is all I have to report.
Okay. Thank you. Does any commissioner have anything to report? Okay, we'll go to vacancies and appointments. Commissioner Mullen.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to reappoint to the Historic Preservation Committee, Ashley Oliphant and Tommy Smith. Also reappoint to the Animal Services Advisory Board, Ashley Oliphant, the no-kill rep, and Tim Grass, Hunter. And then Region F, Aging Advisory Committee, reappoint Richard Sides and Michelle Benfield. That is the motion.
Okay, we have those reappointments in the form of a motion by Commissioner Mullen. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, they are reappointed. So we'll move into item number 19, other business. The first thing, 19A, is Airport Authority Board setup discussion. Now that the Airport Authority is falling underneath the county, we have had conversations in the past about how we want to see that thing look with an advisory board. So I guess I'll start off with my personal opinion. I think we need to have 5 members on the board that have aviation knowledge along with other business knowledges, so they can bring a collaborative group of people together to represent and assist the airport manager in some of the decision and some of the sites and plan for the airport. Does anyone else have anything they would like to add to that, or just here's open discussion now for us to talk amongst ourselves to how we want to set this up and requirements and anything of that nature?
I like what you've laid out. I think that would be very beneficial for us moving forward. Can you?
I said, I like what you've laid out. It would be very beneficial for us as a county moving forward to have some industry experts with general business knowledge as well as aviation knowledge to help guide us in that endeavor.
I'll get the right button right in here in a minute. So if we set this board up and those 5 people, the terms, how are we gonna do terms? Or like, we'll stagger terms, like we'll have some in for 3 years, some in for 2 years, so that, cause you know, this is gonna be a new group coming in. So we've got to establish everything from the ground up. Can we do that, like stagger the terms?
That would
And
have to be
appointments.
something we'd have to set up and figure out if we can do that. I see it as another board, just like all other boards that we have, just kind of maybe like the health board, their advisory board, other advisory boards that we have to that manager.
Okay.
So I'm sure we'd have to, what legally we can and can't do.
So I would recommend that we create a set of bylaws to at least start them out, see, then they can make changes as needed with the approval of this board. I know there was a question about residency and whether or not they had to be citizens of Lincoln County. That is something that the Board of Commissioners may waive because this is not a statutorily created board. This is a commissioner-created board, so that you can waive that requirement if this board so chooses. What I would probably recommend as far as membership is maybe appoint 2 for 1 term, say a 2-year term, and then 3 for a 3-year term to allow them to start to stagger. And then they eventually all can kind of phase in and serve the same term limits. We can work on that, but I can definitely work with Clay and David on getting some bylaws drafted to at least start out.
Okay. So you said that they didn't, since it's not a statutorily recommended or required
board,
committee
yeah.
board. So I do think, even though they may not be a citizen of Lincoln County, but I think they need to have some ties to Lincoln County if they're gonna represent our property and our interest.
So say they live in Statesville, but they fly out of Lincoln County Airport, then
And maybe if they had a plane
They would have to have some kind of
tie,
hard tie to the county, something that,
not just.
we can work on language.
I'd encourage us to utilize, there's a lot of talent in this county.
Well, years.
And I would encourage us to keep it to Lincoln County residents. Just my 2 cents worth. There's a lot of folks here with a lot of aviation experience, many of whom came out of the woodwork during Helene, that I would recommend that we give strong consideration to and utilize our citizens here in Lincoln County.
Yeah, they can call in the experts for their meetings or whatever, to get information from them, but them not be a board member. I agree. I think they ought to be Lincoln County citizens.
I was just going to add, Chairman, that like Megan said, because this is a commissioner-established advisory group, you could set a staggered term to create what Commissioner Carpenter's worried about. You don't want to create institutional knowledge and then all of them fall off at one time. But you do also have the flexibility, just like now, to reappoint people to your advisory group. So, you could maintain people that say have a term of 3 years, but then you reappoint them for another 3-year term as you bring on new members to cover their overlap. I'm just saying, so there's flexibility that we can work on for you all in a bylaw set just to review and make sure you're happy with it. But I think we can address the issue as far as overlap so you don't lose knowledge all at one time.
Okay, so are we all in 5 on the same page that we would like to, I'm saying the 5 commissioners right now are on the same page that we'd like to look at setting up bylaws and moving forward with an advisory board and setting that up?
Be 2 3-year terms.
Yeah.
And then they have to go off.
Right, but we're all in agreement that this is the direction we would like to look at and go. Okay.
And just one thing too, I just want to make sure, so I understand, we'll come back with a proposal on like residential requirements, but do you want us to stipulate some type of subject matter expertise in that? Because that may be important on this advisory group, because they'll be looking at things like the business model. They'll be looking at lease arrangements. They'll help us with strategic planning on recruiting businesses and airplanes that be stored in the hangar developments. There's a lot that goes in that technically.
Yeah, we can discuss that in more in depth once we have our first set of bylaws on what we want to do as far as if we want to limit it to Lincoln County residents strictly, or we want to open it up to those outside of the county that maybe have expertise in some item that could be beneficial, or like Bud and Alex said, they could possibly bring those people in if needed. So if we can just all agree that this is the direction we want to go, then we can start moving down that road.
I agree.
Okay, all right. So we're all five in agreement that this is the direction. We would like to take the airport board authority set up. So anybody have anything else to add before we move to the next item in other business? Okay, so we'll move to the Animal Ordinance Committee setup. I know there's been discussion about setting up a committee of members of the community and people with expert knowledge to kind of guide and facilitate this ordinance. Let's hear your thoughts and discussions. Let's talk about it. So how many members are we thinking we want to put on this board? 6, 8? I mean,
I think you need to stay with an odd number in case you have a vote, so my suggestion would be 9.
okay.
I think the more experience you have on the board, the better off we're going to be. And you don't want to get it too huge, but I think that 9 is a reasonable number.
I know when I served with the UDO committee, I think there were 13 of us, something like that. It worked very well, and we had everybody. We had builders, we had developers, we had people who had expert knowledge in each classification, each field. So, what are some of the member requirements that we would like to see? We want to see a vet. We want to see what are some of the things that we'd like to see. So that way David can take this to.
Well, I also wanted to just remind the board that, we initiated part of this based off you tabling any action on the ordinance, and I know that Animal Services, they have reached out, as the gentleman, Mr. Putnam, I believe, spoke, he was reached out to. What we did was we tried to create a more community-centric, some expert subject matter people on this. They've reached out to several to offer and see if they were interested on serving. Is that correct, Mr. Putnam? I just want to make sure I'm getting acknowledgement.
Yes, sir. They called me at 5:45 and called the positions and sent an email.
Yeah, so we reached out to see if there was interest on that. And so that's the intent. And as far as the number, right now we kept it a little bit flexible, but we're recommending try to keep it at least around 8 or greater, but probably no more than 12. So you can have a board that can work pretty efficiently.
So, but with 9 members, that would meet the quota. Or depends on if there's some, some expert that wants to, or that is going to bring some knowledge or something to that discussion.
Yeah, I'd say a little more than that I want to make sure that we get all sides on that board, where everybody's, so if it takes more than 9,
11.
So be it 11 or 13. Let's see, and let's get all groups involved.
So Cody was also asked to be on that board, and when it was presented to him, he asked if I could also be, because we are a team with our animals. And Jana told him that if that was the case, then they were gonna have to reconsider.
That's correct.
Well, if he accepts, then he's gonna be speaking for both of you. So,
But they told him that I was.
So, excuse me.
Hold on.
Excuse me.
Hold on.
So the issue here is that the Board of County Commissioners will make the decision as to who goes on the board. And I'm a little surprised that anybody got a call at this point. So not to say that you would not be a wonderful person on the board, I'm just a little surprised that they would reach out without consulting the board as to who should be on, or how many or anything like that. So I think the board will make that decision and not Animal Services.
So,
Unless somebody thinks that's not a good idea.
I think that we're setting up the board, so
Yeah,
we're having this
we're the one
discussion
that makes
right
a
now, so we
decision,
need to-
yeah.
So then, is there anything, we know we need a vet on there. Are there any other specific things that we know we're gonna need or would like to see? So.
Well, a couple owners, I suspect, and a breeder. I don't know if the owners are the breeders, and so
The health director, maybe, director of public health.
I wouldn't recommend that. I think you need to kind of push away from employees under the county, because I think if you want recommendations that are coming back from the community, that would be into the benefit of the board, just hear what those recommendations are. Ultimately, you have the final decision whichever way you go. I know that currently people have been reached out to for interest has been 2 exotic animal owners, separate households. So she is correct. We advised not to have the boyfriend or girlfriend or spouse or whomever, because we felt that would not hopefully give us the diversity we're looking for in thought. Reached out to a veterinarian to see if they were interested, and we got one from the advisory group interest, and that's been pretty much who's been reached out to now to see if they were interested in serving on this group.
So it's just interest right now, it's not guaranteed positions?
No, nothing's guaranteed until we actually, sorry, my light went off. Nothing is guaranteed until we actually formalize this work group. I know we kind of call it a committee, but essentially it's really established as a work group to offer recommendations back for board to consider how this ordinance may be adjusted if the board so chooses.
Okay.
I'd also like to see a farmer on there, someone that keeps livestock, because this is an animal ordinance. Livestock owners, or, as a USDA farm in our county. And also probably
Can't hear you.
No, hold on.
and probably also just general pet owners, dogs, cats, because this is all encompassing for all animals, not just the exotics. So I think they need to be represented as well.
So add a farmer, an owner, and then just a non-exotic pet owner?
Yeah, I think you need just a regular dog, cat person.
My recommendation would also be law enforcement. Our Animal Services Advisory Board and our Dangerous Dog Board have law enforcement already on them. So you could pick one of those, maybe from the Dangerous Dog Board. That way you have one person from each board on this committee, because Animal Services has 2.
I think you need to have a commissioner on the board as well, and I'd recommend Mr. Carpenter.
Trent.
Because I love you.
So.
I gave you guys
So,
a list of what experts you need for a board like this.
So-
I've sat in on things like this before. Specifically, an avian expert, a primate expert, someone like you suggested for livestock, an exotic mammals expert, not just regular mammals, a reptile and venomous snake expert. You have one right here. Your exotic mammal expert right here. Or I have a list of people from different organizations, including the United States Association of Reptile Keepers, Rare and Exotic Rodent Keepers Association, National Animal Interest Alliance, the Cavalry Group. I actually even had an animal interest attorney who is willing to help you guys with this. I would be more than willing to help facilitate that contact if those are people who are interested in having honest.
The exotic vet from All Hearts Animal Hospital in Hickory would be interested.
She's awesome.
We are also going to be
She's awesome. Yeah.
Mo.
Yes, Dr. Mo.
I believe the only USDA facility in Lincoln County. We are working on our USDA licensing now, and I believe that we will be the only USDA facility in Lincoln County as far as I know.
Commissioners, in order to kind of help facilitate this, can I just ask all these people that are speaking, if you'll email me your list, david.madden@lincolncountync.gov. If you'll just email it to me and if you'll put in a few little credentials in there as far as how many years or whatever, we'll circulate it, but it doesn't guarantee you'll be on this work group, okay? I mean, I think it needs to be very clear. You talk about transparency. We want you to understand that. That's why they reached out to see if there was local interest. Yeah, but if you'll send me that, I'll circle that back around with the board and we'll look at those outreach, okay? Thank you.
Wait a minute.
That's why the 5 commissioners are going to decide who's going to be on the board and not Animal Services. So we're taking all that into consideration, okay? Yes, ma'am, you had something to add?
Yes. I think that our organization has got so much information that all you have to do is reach out to them. And they've been involved in legislation all over the country. And
Thank you. Is there anything any other commissioner would like to add at this time? So, okay, all right, thank you. So now we will move, all right, so information, register of deeds, property tax collection report. We don't have those in front of us here. I couldn't hear you. Sorry, ma'am.
Was there any resolution to the previous part about the animal ordinance committee, or just kind of tabling that while we get ready?
We're moving forward with it. We're setting that up. So those people will be contacted, and if you're interested, let us know. Send us an email and let us know you're interested in serving. We'll look at your credentials and see what you have to offer, and then, yeah, that's the direction we're going. So, all right.
Just to make sure we're answering your question, so they're not going to take any action on the current ordinance as presented until the recommendations are back from this work group, and can we say a 90-day period, commissioners? Would that be sufficient?
Yeah.
90 days?
A 90-day time?
So we're going to look at putting in about a 90-day work time, and then those recommendations will come back for consideration. Some, all, or none could be adopted in the ordinance as it goes forward. Thank you.
Okay, so this time we'll move to closed session. If someone would read the reasonings for closed session, then we can entertain that motion and move into closed session.
I make a motion to enter closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318-11 to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. To discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by this public body, including agreement on a tentative list of economic development incentives that may be offered by the public body in negotiation, or to discuss matters relating to military installation closures or realignments.
So that's in the form of a motion.
I make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion to go into closed session. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We are now in closed session. Thank you.
back in open session. No action was taken in closed session. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Commissioner Carpenter made the motion to adjourn. Any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.